So in this video, we're gonna talk about how being with a man can make you look haggard and worn down, right? We're gonna talk about behaviors that men do in romantic relationships that creates chronic stress and anxiety for women. Things like poor communication, inconsistency, emotional immaturity, dishonesty, broken promises, and the lack of accountability. All of these things, they cause stress and they cause anxiety. And these are just annoying behaviors of men. When these things become a pattern and they keep showing up over and over again, they can affect a woman's emotional well-being, physical health, and even the way that you see yourself, right? So in this video is to help you recognize the unhealthy patterns and understand the impact it has on your mind and your body, right? We're going into behaviors that men do that cause unnecessary stress and anxiety, and why they matter more than people realize, right? So behaviors that many women complain about are poor communication, right? These are the major source of stress and anxiety. And the first one is poor communication. This causes stress. This causes worry, anxiety, confusion, because when a man has poor communication, he's going to avoid having difficult conversations with you. He's going to shut down. He's shutting down and dodging explanations and refusing to talk about feelings, refusing to talk about his actual intentions and expectations and all of that. These things cause stress. Ghosting, right? Disappearing emotionally, becoming distant without explaining why. Distant for weeks, months, trying to avoid the consequences of their actions, trying to avoid. They're ghosted because they're trying to avoid apologizing to you. These things, they sound simple, they sound normal, they sound like everyday behavior of men, which they are, but they accumulate and they cause stress and anxiety. Making empty promises, repeatedly saying that they would change and they would never change. Most men don't change. They stay the same, or they get worse. They're not following through on plans. They're future faking, talking about all of these things they want to do with you in the future, and they know they have no intentions of doing it. And as time passes and you realize they were just it's just fake promises, it's just future faking. They're faking their personality, faking their character to get what they want. That could cause confusion, that could cause stress and worry, and you're trying to figure out what is really going on. The inconsistency, the being affectionate one day and you're not the next day. One day you're kind and the next day you're mean. This inconsistency, this causes stress, confusion in your mind. The lack of reliability. These behaviors that you see men doing, they cause stress when you know you can't rely on them, when they're not keeping their commitments, when they're canceling plans last minute continuously, when they're dishonest, when they're lying over and over again, hiding information, being secretive. All of these behaviors, they cause stress, they cause anxiety, they cause worry, and they cause confusion, especially within your mind. When they are flirting with others, breaking your trust, creating insecurity, causing triangulation with other women. These things, they cause stress, they cause anxiety, and they cause you to be on the edge. They cause you to worry. The emotional immaturity of most men, avoiding accountability for their actions, blaming you for problems that they created. And when you give feedback or you bring up an issue or there's a concern, they're defensive. These These behaviors, they cause stress, they cause anxiety when they are angry, when they're dismissive, when they push your concerns to the side, when you give feedback and they're defensive or they shut down. These type of behaviors that you see most men doing, they cause stress, they build up. It might seem small at first, but when you see these behaviors keep repeating over and over again for weeks, for months, they're going to cause stress, they're going to cause anxiety. Being taken for granted cause you to feel burnt out. Most men, they expect effort, they expect affection, they expect support without giving back anything, or they give the bare minimum. Those things, they cause stress. Weaponizing incompetence, pretending they don't know how to do basic tasks just to avoid taking responsibility, controlling you, having controlling behavior, possessive behavior. This causes stress, this causes anxiety, worry, walking on eggshells. They're trying to dictate, who you see or who you're friends with, or telling you what to wear, or how you should spend your time, or what you should spend your money on, or making you feel guilty about what you spend your money on. These behaviors, like they lack emotional support. Obviously, you're gonna feel stressed out and worried and confused about being with a man and not getting emotional support. Being with somebody in a romantic relationship and they're pushing your feelings to the side. They're telling you you're too sensitive when you bring up a problem, a issue, a concern. They're telling you you're overthinking things when you bring up their hurtful behavior. They're telling you you're too much and you're too hard to handle just to get away with their bad behavior. They're telling you that you want too much, you're asking for too much, and it's not true. And this is causing stress, causing anxiety, causing you to worry, causing confusion in your mind, causing you to actually think that maybe you're asking for too much, and you're not. When there's conflict constantly coming up, the same problems constantly coming up, there's poor conflict resolution. Things cannot be resolved. When he's maybe yelling at you or stonewalling you when there's an issue, giving you silent treatment to gain control, silent treatment to avoid taking responsibility for their actions. All of these things, they cause stress, they cause anxiety, they cause worry. When men disappear to avoid the consequences, when they're gaslighting you, those things, it cause stress, it cause worry, anxiety, making you feel like you don't remember the right way, or you're losing your memory, or that is not how things went, or you're lying, guilt tripping you to gain control. Right? Also, financial irresponsibility, that could cause stress when he's overspending, or he's hiding debt, or he's expecting you to carry all the financial burden because he overspent on something, or he make a mistake with money, a mistake that he always making with money, and you should just take the financial burden. This causes stress, this causes worry, anxiety. Being disrespected constantly. Some men, they call you names, they're belittling you, they're mocking you, they're embarrassing you in public. Many behaviors. They embarrass you in front of other people. They're disrespecting your time. They're late. They set you up. They ghost. They're unreliable. They say, yes, I would help you, I'm coming, and you call, no answer. You text, no response. That causes anxiety, that causes stress. And they keep repeating the same behavior over and over again, and they refuse to be better, they refuse to grow. They're ignoring the reoccurring problems in the relationship, and they just expect the relationship to just survive without any effort. These things, it cause anxiety, it cause stress, it cause you to feel sadness continuously. You're not fulfilled, you're not satisfied with your relationship. because he has too much pride to apologize, too much ego, right? These behaviors, it creates stress because most of them is just making you feel uncertain and unstable. You don't feel stable within the relationship. When somebody, they inconsistent, they hot and they cold, they in and they out, they kind and then they mean, they hot, they cold, they affectionate one day, they mean the next day. All of that causes confusion, stress, the dishonesty, the unwillingness to communicate. Pure hogwash behavior, nonsensical behavior will cause stress. You feel anxious because you can't predict what they're going to do. It's unpredictable. You don't know what to expect. You're not sure what mood he's going to be. You're not sure. You're walking on eggshells. You want to avoid conflict. These things cause stress because you don't feel safe. You're in an unstable relationship that causes stress and ongoing stress. What I'm saying in this video, this ongoing stress from unhealthy relationship dynamics with men contribute to mental health problems, physical health problems. And I'm not saying like it's the source or it's always is the sole cause of your anxiety or depression or your chronic stress or your burnout. There are other things that can be going on in your life that is causing stress, anxiety, worry, burnt out, emotional exhaustion. You have a job, you have children, you have other responsibilities, different obligations that can cause stress and anxiety and cause you to feel burnt out and give you brain fog and all of these things. But what I'm saying, sometimes being involved with the wrong man, especially when they're emotionally immature, it's just going to cause anxiety, the constant worrying, the racing thoughts, the always feeling on edge. This is creating anxiety within you. It could also create depression, the sadness, the not feeling fulfilled. You start to lose interest in the activities that you love. You always have low energy. You feel worthless because he's breaking down your self-esteem. He's breaking down your self-confidence. You have a low spirit because of the disrespectful and hurtful behavior he's doing towards you. These are the mental health effects. That you have nightmares. You're wondering why you have nightmares because you're in a relationship with the wrong man, with a toxic man, narcissistic man, hyper vigilant. Now you're constantly monitoring his mood or his behavior. You want to avoid conflict because you don't want to see his bad side. You're not sure how he's going to react. That's causing anxiety and stress, feeling drained. You feel burnt out. You think it's your job, but it's not. Your job might not be that physically demanding, but you're burnt out. But you feel emotionally exhausted. It could be coming from your relationship. That low self-esteem you have because you're believing the negative things that he's saying. You're believing that you're too sensitive and you're hard to go with and you want too much. You can't concentrate. You can't focus on your job, on your career. You have brain fog. You can't concentrate. You're forgetting things that you normally won't forget. You can't make proper decisions now. It's because of the chronic stress and the anxiety that he has created in the relationship. So this could just be things like, men saying that they love you, that they care about you, and they're talking about the future with you, future faking, fake promises, and then they disappear without any explanation. That's confusing. That will cause stress. When they affectionate in private, behind closed doors, and then you're distant in public. That's confusing. That is causing stress. And we know why men do these things. There's poor communication. Like, instead of discussing a disagreement, in a healthy manner. Ignoring calls, ignoring texts for several days, ghosting, disappearing when you have a hard conversation you need to have, refusing to talk, silent treatment, being defensive. All of this with poor communication constantly for weeks and months, even years, it causes stress to accumulate. Breaking promises, the lying, or the excessive drinking, or always flirting with other women, repeating the same behavior over and over and over and over again. This causes you to have confusion within your mind, saying he will help you with responsibilities. You ask for help and then he don't follow through. He will say, yes, I will help you, I'm coming, and you call at the moment where you agreed to get help, no answer, no response. That causes stress and frustration. You or maybe you express something that hurt you and they dismiss it and say you're overreacting, you're overthinking. That's pushing your concerns to the side, your feelings to the side, making you feel guilty for having normal emotions, making you feel guilty of being a human. Those things, when they accumulate, you see them over and over, it causes stress. Then you confront them, you talk about their harmful behavior, you give feedback, then then he might blame you, shift the blame. That's annoying. That is causing frustration and stress. Or he's telling you, maybe it was my childhood, or I'm really stressed now with my job, or trying to blame something else without taking responsibility for his actions, without taking responsibility for the problems that he actually creates. Stonewalling and silent treatment that could cause anxiety, just disappearing. After argument, you had an argument, you have hurt feelings, and they're just giving you silent treatment, refusing to talk for days. That cause you to have worry, anxiety, overthinking, punishing you, with silent treatment, avoiding to resolve issues, having the same problems over and over and over again, cause stress. When a man is overly jealous, trying to control you, want the password for your phone, or telling you who to spend time with, or constantly checking your phone, check your location, maybe hack your phone, check your email, messages, whatever, check your social media. All of these things cause unnecessary stress, anxiety, worry, confusion, unnecessary problems. Being dishonest, lying about where he was, lying about who he was with. You're not sure if he would ever tell the truth. Everything he say, you're thinking that maybe it's a lie. Lying about how he spent a certain amount of money, lying about his past, lying about who he's involved with currently, whether or not he's involved with someone, cheating, flirting, texting other women, liking pictures on Instagram. That's annoying. When you're involved with a man and you're on Instagram and you see he's liking pictures of women, maybe like in their swimsuit, or women who post sexy pictures or whatever, and you see their face floating around with the hat on top, and you see that they like the picture, and then you see they probably like many pictures. That's annoying. That's like, why? That's confusing. That's stressful. That's causing confusion within you. The infidelity, the secrets, flirting openly, knowing that it hurts you, that cause you to feel angry, frustration, confusion, stress. That's disrespecting you. Maybe it's financial irresponsibility. Maybe some women I hear, they talk about being in a relationship with a man who sometimes he spend the rent money on, I don't know, unnecessary purchases, and then expect you to just pay the bills without he contributing. That is causing stress, financial problems. Or he's humiliating you in front of friends, making jokes about you, sharing your private information with others, neglecting you, when you actually have a difficult time, when you have a hard circumstance. He's not showing interest in you, he's not supporting you when you have certain problems and personal issues going on in your life. That could cause stress, that could cause you to feel alone in the relationship. Why are you with someone and you can't get support? Right? Maybe even when you have a conversation, it's always about what's going on in his life, what's his problems, manipulating you, saying that if you really love me, you would do this. If you really love me, you would do that. That's manipulation. That is putting pressure on you to do things that you might not want to do, things that you're not comfortable doing. That's pressure. That's stressful. And these men, they refuse to change. You're gonna see the same problem over and over and over again. They're gonna stay stagnant, or they're gonna get worse. They dismiss the impact they have on you, and their behavior just gets worse over time. And these repeated behaviors is what causing the long-term stress and the anxiety, and it erodes and it chips away on your self-esteem and your self-confidence, right? And over time, that is why you look haggard and you look worn down. Carrying on and accepting and justifying all these behaviors is gonna make you look burnt out, worn down, haggard. Because why? Not sleeping enough, insomnia, always tired, always fatigued. Now you have a weak immune system that's making you get sick more and more. More headaches because you worry, they're lying, they're disrespecting you, they're embarrassing you. Chronic pain coming from nowhere in your shoulder, in your neck, or back pain coming from nowhere. Digestive problems, you're wondering why you're so nauseous out of nowhere with no reason. You're just nauseous day after day. That's why you look bloated and inflamed, eyes puffy, stomach bloated, stomach pain, heart palpitations, blood pressure increase because of being with the wrong man, because of having man stress. Being with a man who's causing anxiety and stress in your life is making you, your appetite change. Now you're eating too much, you gain weight, or you might not eat enough because you're so stressed, you lose weight. Now your skin flare up, pimples, acne breakout, some stress related rash come up on your skin, period gone haywire, irregular periods. You feel this tightness in your chest, you're dizzy, lightheaded, and you're wondering what's going on. Is this stress from your relationship? Is this stress from your romantic partner? Is this stress from your man? That the hair loss, right? And I'm not talking out of my neck. I experienced this being with the wrong man. Acne, hair loss, weight gain from nowhere. And that people, and I see it a lot, women, they get in relationships and they just start to look older, they look burnt out, They look exhausted when they're in a relationship, and they look haggard because they're getting stress from the person that they're with. And we shouldn't normalize man stress, as we say it. You have to ask yourself, if this relationship is bringing you peace, is it bringing you support? Why are you gonna be with someone, bring somebody in your life, and they're not making you happy? You don't feel secure, you don't feel stable. It's just breaking you down, breaking down your self-confidence, breaking down your self-esteem. And too many women, they stay in relationship where they are constantly making excuses, to justify the disrespect. They're making excuses for the inconsistency. There's no excuse of someone being dishonest and emotionally neglecting you and breaking promises. These should not be justified. You should not be making excuses for somebody who break promises, who fake their whole personality. And we want to call it sacrifice, and we want to call it love, and we want to say, we're in this commitment, and we're being patient with this man, and we want to be understanding, and we're saying, like, that is just how men are. No. When in reality, what you're living in this cycle of confusion, stress, chaos, especially with triangulation, emotional exhaustion, because most of the time you're carrying the emotional labor of the relationship. And a romantic relationship should not keep you in constant anxiety, walking on eggshells, constant stress. That is why you look inflamed, face puffy, acne, hair loss, baggy eyes, gain weight. Like, the relationship is making you ugly. You're ugly now because you're with a man that's creating stress and anxiety, and you should not have to be begging for honesty. You're begging for basic communication. You're begging for somebody to treat you with respect. And these are not like luxurious things to have in a relationship. This is normal behavior that everybody should have in a relationship, where you communicate healthy, you're honest, you treat each other with respect. Like, that is the foundation of a healthy relationship. And anytime you meet a man that's creating stress and anxiety and pure hogwash behavior, you have to think about it like, life is already hard. Just to survive as a human, life is already hard, and your relationship should never be another source of chronic stress. Your job, your career is already hard. You probably have children, you have other obligations and responsibilities, and you have this romantic relationship that is causing more stress and more anxiety, stealing your joy, stealing your confidence, stealing your sleep. Sleep keeps you looking fresh. That's why you look so haggard and burnt out. You look old. Your skin look old. You have acne, bloating, weight gain, and weight gain from stress is very hard to get off. Weight gain from stress, it accumulates in the stomach area, and that's very difficult to get off. No matter how you exercise, to get off weight gain from stress, you have to reduce the stress to get the weight off. It's not easy. That is why you just continue to be overweight. You continue to eat because of the stress, eating too much, becoming ugly, just to be with a man that's causing stress and anxiety. That is stealing your beauty, stealing your vitality. Like, honestly, sometimes being with a man, the wrong man especially, most men, you're losing your vitality, you're losing your life force, you're losing your peace of mind. When you can't sleep, you're going to look ugly. You can't look refreshed. You're losing your beauty. We have to protect our mental health. It comes first. We have to protect our emotional well-being. Life is already hard by itself, and we see the potential in men and we stay too long, and you continue to accept these hurtful behavior, and it causes stress and it causes anxiety, right? We have to judge people by the consistent actions that they show, not by the fake promises. And nobody is perfect, but most men are not working on themselves. They're not correcting any behavior. The behavior keep repeating, the same behavior keep repeating, and it just get worse. Love without respect is very painful, right? Love without trust is exhausting. Trying to figure out if somebody is lying all the time, if they're faking their personality, if they're using you, they're taking you for granted. Love without accountability will always be chaotic. You always have confusion when there's a lack of accountability. You'll always have chaos and conflict when there's a lack of accountability. Not taking, most men, they don't take responsibility for their actions, for their words. They don't know how their behavior affect you, or most of them, they don't care. They just carry on. That is going to cause you to be in an unhealthy relationship, and it's going to cause stress and anxiety. And I'm saying in this video, that is why you look haggard and you look burnt out and worn down. So we need to know our worth. This video is not to make any woman feel bad. It's just to make you pay attention to the reoccurring patterns and not make excuses for these hurtful behavior, and never to settle for a relationship that costs you your peace. Never to be in a relationship that costs you your beauty, right? So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.